Okay, so let's get started. My name is Claude Sharon. I'm the Director of Education and Professional Development for the Conrad Foundation. And I welcome you guys tonight or this afternoon or this morning to this session. So today's session is broken down into two tiers. One is virtual tools and how we can use them to collaborate and communicate more effectively. What's really cool about this is we're not reinventing the wheel. This is exactly what industry does. This is what Google, the Apples, and some of the most innovative companies in the world. Let's face it, these companies don't all work in one building. They work all over the world. So why not we use those tools? So I'm going to share that with you. But what's really cool about what I feel that's really valuable to this is it's not just me going to a website and say, use this software. We're going to do that, and we're going to connect it directly to the Conrad Challenge and how this can be beneficial to a team. So that's what you'll be seeing in the next 20 to 25 minutes, and then we're going to have some Q&A. And then I'll discuss about, if you do want to learn more, how to do that. So at the very end, you'll have that opportunity, okay? So my role is to provide resources and support for student teams going through the process. So you might hear the word or the phrase called the No Box Toolbox. It's a collaboration platform that was developed years ago by Nancy Conrad and the team to actually assist teams that are either new to the process or were looking for new creative ways to go from an idea to a presentable project that might acquire funding or get to the end user or help the community or society in one fashion. So really excited about how these tools work, right? Okay, moving on. So this is how it's going to be broken down. So how do we get started with virtual tools, right? So the first thing is, have you started with the problem, right? Do you know what problem you're going to do? And chances are most teams have, right? We know what the problem is. We got it down. You know, we're past that already. We know what the problem is, right? And then they start building. Are you sure you really know what the problem? Did you really prove that it's a problem? Who says it's a problem? How many people? How do people feel about this problem? Who is it for? Did you do interviews? Did you talk to subject matter experts? Because one thing is a person saying that's a problem or a team member or a coach. Another thing is proving that it's a problem. This, I feel strongly, being a former coach for many years, if this is not addressed really thoroughly, you can't, it's like a horse stuck in a stable. You can't move forward, right? So in my experience, that is the part that most teams literally do not maximize. So I'll give you an example. Okay, back in 2012, we did a water system for Haiti because back then, Haiti got hit with not one, not two, not three, but 4 hurricanes in one season. So water was scarce, it was dirty. So we developed, like many people tried to do, a lot of universities, a lot of teams developed a water system. So you might think, no big deal, right? Everybody does it, right? Do they do it in a way that will work for the end user? That is the biggest challenge. Making, prototyping, designing, proving, all of that is just a step. Proving that there's a need and a want and you're designing something for those individuals is, to me, the secret sauce, right? And I'm going to fast forward 2 to 3 years. We made a device at the end of year 1. We sent it to Haiti. They never used it. We fixed it up, we sent it again, it worked for a day. Then we sent it again and it worked for 2 days and it got robbed. What did we learn from it? We didn't understand, like, it couldn't be solar panels because people steal them, that it was bulky, that it would break down, that it had a UV light. So there were so many reasons why that was meant to fail. Then we were introduced to the Conrad Challenge and they said, look, you got to keep this simple. So fast forwarding into that second year, guess what? Now we have it in 7 different countries, 2 places in Africa, the Philippines, Haiti, and other countries that are working, that are using this water system today. And the reason why it's working today is because we kept it simple. It doesn't require electricity, doesn't require any wires. It doesn't require more than $200 to produce. You can actually put it in something that you can put in a carry-on luggage. It's crazy, right? And all these specs needed to happen for it to get to the end user. But it didn't stop there. And that's a story for another time, okay? Individuals learn from prior solutions. Everybody always wants to reinvent the wheel. When you go up, and if you're fortunate enough to do the Conrad Challenge and be in the summit, they're going to say, well, how is this different than something out there already? Right? And you got to prove it. You can't just say, no, it's easier to use. Well, what does that mean? What is easier? How could you prove easier? Right? You need to be quantitative about this, right? And understanding what you guys feel is pros and cons to prior solutions is so important, right? Don't reinvent the wheel. Let's fix it and let's build from it, right? How do you get to a best solution? How do you get to one solution, right? So what I'm gonna show you now are tools to help you with that, okay? So now what I'm gonna do, okay, and what I'm gonna ask you to do is I would like you to write the word M-I-R-O. Okay, it's called Miro. It's a free software that enables you to do X, Y, or Z, okay, in regards to collaboration. And the best way to explain it is by showing you this. So I'm gonna play a video, I'm gonna talk over it, okay? And basically this is a 90-second video that you can get directly from this website. So that's why I'm asking you to write it down. And in 90 minutes, you literally can start your own board. However, it might be overwhelming. So then we're gonna take that and we're gonna customize it already for you for the different parts in the process, okay? So when I click on that, you're gonna get to Miro.com, and then this is a subcategory to that Miro.com called features, okay? Within features, it has a 90-second video on like how cool it is.
Miro is a whiteboarding platform where your team can create,
you guys hear
discuss,
that?
and share.
I'll just talk through it so it's not blocking your audio here. So this looks crazy. You got a lot of stuff going on here. Can you see the screen, by the way? Okay, like what are you doing? This is too much. So this can be overwhelming quickly. So that's one of the reasons why I broke it down in parts for round one, right? But what I want you to get from this is people from all over the world are interacting with this board. You can make comments, you could put your work, you can provide feedback, you can vote, and then you can move forward. And then there's a lot of interactive tools that you can use that a lot of you guys are already familiar with, like Google Drive, Adobe, Slack, and there's a lot of different tools that you can use to integrate with it. This is not something that we invented. This is actually what Google and a lot of other companies have been using for the last few years because of remote access to design. So this process of being able to collaborate when you're not in the same room is nothing new. It's new to some of you now because we're in different areas, maybe not with the same team. So this is where you go if what I'm showing you in a second seems still a little too much. And I will tell you, and I know this from about 100 students already, that they pick up on it, they really like it. And how many people use Zoom other than this session? Do you guys use Zoom in your class? This enables students and teams to work and really interact without sitting there staring at each other. It's kind of cool, right? And it's a different level of engagement because what's the alternative? You got to send emails, you got to send text. It's difficult, and you're sharing Google Docs. So this enables you to put everything in the same place. Okay, I'm going to go back. Could you see my website that says start a team? Yes. Okay. So that is the software that I'm going to be kind of going through. But here's the challenge now. I have two challenges. Number one, I got to show you the software going through, but I really don't care about the software. I care about the process. So I want you to think about that the software is just the engine that's taking our car across. The more important thing is, how do we answer those 4 questions? How do we get that investor's pitch to a way where we're clear and we know what we're trying to do? Okay, so that's kind of like the objective. Okay, so before we start doing a deeper dive, one of the things that I did for you is I created a template for the following work, and this will be yours. So you will go to that link, you'll duplicate that board, and it's yours, right? So that template that I've created, you're able to do that. What I did here so I could explain it to you is I broke the template into 3 different parts. Okay, how cool is this? Problem, prior solutions, design brief, like what are you trying to do, and the best solution. And it's all together, right? What do they all have in common? This is the coolest part. Every individual in the team produces their own work. They post their own work. Everybody reads each other's works. Everybody has the opportunity to write something called a how might we. That means a comment without having discussions yet. And then you have a very short pitch, very 1 minute, boom, 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 and then you vote. And then you move to the next step. That's repeated over and over. That's what they do in the sprint process. That's what companies use to go from an idea to, should we do this? Should Google spend $5 million in your company? And they do it in 5 days. Do you understand? So what we did was we saw that process. I'm like, why can't we do that in schools? So I've been working on this with the team at the Conrad Foundation for the last 3.5, 4 years. And before this last year and a half, we did it physically with literally boards, right? It worked great. But then all this happened. I'm like, well, how do we do that? So great news. This enables us to do almost every single thing. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I think being in the same room, you can never replace that. Would you agree? Like literally, I'm not trying to sell you a bag of goods, but sometimes you don't have a choice, right? But how cool is it that you can actually get an MIT professor on a Zoom, you share this, and then you would have never had that, because how do you get that person to your country and talk to them directly? So there's pros and cons to this, right? So what you're seeing here, and we'll go through it, but I want to break it down first. And this link right here, I'm going to click and it's going to take us to that board momentarily. But before we do that, I want to show you what this is, okay? So understanding the problem is so crucial. Like you really need to understand, and don't assume that everybody in your team understands it the same way you do. Remember, Q&A is a big part of this challenge. Understanding and knowing that you guys are trying to get to the same place with the same people is super important. Don't assume. I used to always assume as a coach. So, and I've realized, wow, it's obvious we're working with these people. How do you not know that? So when we do a problem statement, it needs to be measurable, right? Like this is a problem. This many people get affected. This individual, people get sick from X, Y, and Z. And this is the area where it happens. And these are the individuals that are most at risk. Right? That's the who, that's the when, and that's the where. Okay, and then each individual will be placing that information there, right? It's like a bullet, so that's a conversational piece later, okay? That's important, okay? And then over here, you have everybody that does their own thing. And then over here, after the vote, after the reflection part, after the voting part, then okay, you know what? I think we're on the same page, or we need to decide, or do we include both to our general market, right? Lots of stuff going on here, right? Okay, the next one is remix and learn, okay? And this is what I meant by prior solutions. Know what the prior solutions are. Know what they do or their shortcomings. What I've realized about students and young adults, they love to knock other things. Okay, they're like, oh, this is bad, so I'm good, right? And I could tell you right now, you don't want to do that. You want to be able to say, look, this works well. However, this is where it falls short. This works well. However, this is where it would be more, accessible for the end user, right? So you're doing your pros and your cons and you're labeling them. So what I have here to the left is the physical one if you're in the same room. And then what I have to the right is the virtual one that would be on that Miro board. Super cool, same way, okay? All right, I'm gonna pause just for a second. Now I want you to focus on the right screen, okay? Because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna verbally say something. It's a little bit of information, but if this is something you're interested in learning, bring it back to your team and I'll be more than happy to go a little deeper, okay? So what happens is every student does a part, right? They do 3 prior solutions. They list the pros and the cons. Got it? That's step 1. Step 2 is they do something. Remember I said, how might we? So it's an HMW. And then what happens is, okay, let me go back again. So what happens is you do a how might we, all right? And again, this is where some of the tedious stuff happens. But I got some really good news. Everything I'm about to tell you is already on the Conrad Challenge No Box Toolbox. I'll show at the end of this session, and you can see videos of exactly what I'm showing, how to do these sessions, okay? Mind you, they're boards, but it's the same exact process, okay? So how might we, after you produce this, instead of me talking to you, I'm gonna write down, how might we get it to market? How might we get an expert to help us? And I'm gonna post those either on it or close by it, okay? And I'm gonna save that. Then the next person speaks and the next person speaks, okay? So what have we talked about? Posting and feedback, okay? What's the next step? All right, we got a lot of stuff here, and now this is where the team starts to break down. I like this one better. I like that, and then people are screaming at each other, right? So instead of doing that, everybody gets 2 votes, right? You get 2 stickers, and silently you're gonna click on the ones you think you can build from the most, or it's the best, it's the most competitive one against yours. So what's gonna happen? It's not the most popular, it's not the most, the alpha in the group that's dominating, but it's people really being able to contribute to what prior solution would work or not potentially, okay? What's really cool about Miro, you click vote, and then at the end you display the results and you see who did what, opposed to, oh, look, my friend went over here, so I think I'm gonna vote there as well. So this is the one case where virtual is much better than physical. It's hard to physically not be biased when you see people walking to, I mean, I tried everything like, okay, you got 3 seconds to vote, 1, 2, 3, and then people are running and smacking each other. It doesn't really work as effectively. So virtual tools are great with this, okay? Any questions on this step? Okay, why 2 votes? What can you do with the votes? This is a magical thing. You got 2 thumbs, most of us, right? God willing. And you can vote 2 on yours. You can vote 1 on this one or 1 on someone else. But here's the magic, okay? This is what Google and all the research proves. If you don't want to vote on yours and nobody else does, guess what we do with it? Just put it aside. That's how you narrow the focus to what you really want to do, opposed to having all this noise. So instead of having, what do we got here? 12, now we're focused on 2 or 3, right? So when someone challenges you up on the stage, right, or virtually on Zoom, you'll say, well, this is what we saw from these 3. You'll be prepared, you'll be ready, and you'll be all on the same page. Isn't that cool? It's kind of neat, right? So that's prior solutions. But let's face it, no one really cares about the prior solutions. We care about the best solution, right? So let's go to the next thing. And this honestly is awesome. And we're gonna go back to the Miro board, but I didn't wanna lose you on the Miro board before you understood the process, okay? So this over here to the right side is a typical board that we've done in the past. I've done this over 100 times with several teams. And one of the things you want to start to realize is your school, how much time, resources, budget, space, impact to whatever you're trying to do, right? You want to really adjust, you really want to quantify those, right? What can we do? What can't we do? And understand that just because you can't see the solution doesn't mean you can't do it. That's a very slippery slope. Be careful with it. I've seen kids do, and people on our foundation that the kids like, what? Did you really do that? It's crazy. So there is no, you know how like they use that term, no ceiling? This is one of those things. There's no box, there's no planet that can keep these kids from literally taking off. And I really see people in this organization having people out there, literally. And it, look, Nancy Conrad, right? That's all I have to say. So over here to the right side is kind of the same thing over here, but it's done in a digital way. So what happens here, so you understand it's the same exact process. Each student produces an artifact of their best solution, okay? They produce an artifact. The artifact can be broken into 3 or it can be 1 page. That artifact is the features to what you think will make this problem solved, right? These are the features, right? You post it up. The how might we's are the aqua, okay? This is the how might we's for these, right? And then at the end, we vote. So this is the same exact thing as here. Each individual, I have a design, we'll be posting there, and then you'll have different features to that design that the students can focus on, okay? So now I'm gonna open up the curtain, I'm gonna show you the Miro board and how all this is listed. Okay, and then we'll open it up to any questions. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this. So here it is. This is the Miro board, and it's going to look weird. It takes a couple seconds to load up because there's a lot of stuff going on. However, what's really cool, you lose no resolution when you bring it up super close. Okay, so watch what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm just going to focus on this one. Right? Why am I focusing on this? Let's think about this for a second. Right? Pretty obvious, right? You have this toolbar, everything from text boxes to sticky notes to writing to connecting. And then remember what I was telling you about voting? It's down there. And then also timing. Always have some sort of parameter because people start to goof off. They have too much time. How many of you have been in a meeting where it's like 30 minutes and people are messing around and you just feel like you could do something else and people are screwing around? That's why it's really good to have protocols, right? It's good. Look, we only have 30 minutes. Let's get this done. And the timers work so well. Please use the timers. Really important. Okay. And then there's some other tools here too, right? So you post that there and you're good to go for the problem. All right. Now let's go to the next part. Once you have your problems and you've agreed on it, this is the instructions to do the following. So it's kind of cool. The instructions are right to the left. All right. And this is now your project, the students, the how might we's. And then if you choose to use this as votes, you can, but the voting, it's actually better here because you don't see what's kind of going on. Okay. Does that make any sense? I mean, does that make sense? Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to talk, this is the last content I'm going to share with you. And then we're going to bring it all together. Okay. Because you guys graciously joined me, I'm going to share with you, I think the number one, and along with everybody else who watches this webinar, right? The number one secret to, I think, success in innovation. One of the things I've been able to do is acquire more than 10 patent pendings through the years with students. And the reason why we've been able to do that is because of the following process. Okay, this is cool, right? A design statement is something that the team creates after investigating the prior solutions. And they say, for this problem to be invented, these 4 things need to happen, right? You did a thorough investigation of the prior solutions. You didn't find anything that does all 4 of them. You with me? Okay. If you come up with a solution that addresses all 4, by definition, it's what? It's an innovation. It can be a combination of things. Most people think it's got to be brand new and original. No, it's got to be, it builds, right? Okay, so that's really important. And if you want help with that, that's what I can do. We can do a webinar. I mean, we can do a video conference on constraints and design brief. It's a really, really important tool to do before you go into the mother load, okay? And this is what we talked about before, each individual's best design. And keep in mind, this design doesn't need to fit there. That could be a big paper that you put there and then you zoom up. That's what's super cool about this, right? You don't lose any resolution. So you write, you design. What's really cool about this, and it's important to understand, I'm very self-conscious when I'm drawing, right? But because you only get about 30 minutes to do this and everybody's on the same playing field, it doesn't matter if it's stick figures, right? It just get your what you think the features are. Super cool. Okay, and everybody gets to contribute. All right. So this in a nutshell, and then notice before, you know, you have the voting and all that stuff. So this template, when you get it, you just go over here, and then what you do is just duplicate it. That's all you have to do. Super simple. Okay. I'm going to share the template with you in a few minutes via the chat. Just copy that, and then we'll see if you have any trouble doing that, and we'll make sure that you have that if you choose to. It probably will not work right away because you do need to, there's a couple steps you need to do, and I'll share that with you right before we leave today. Okay. So going back to the Conrad challenge, okay. We're going through and we have the, you know, we have our design, our best solution. And then this is what I was referring to before. You have, you know, your artifact, and look at the stick figures. Was I kidding when I said stick figures? Literally stick figures, okay? And then you have the how might we's, and then you have the voting. So just to keep this in perspective, there was 20 people on this team. And this wasn't for the Conrad Challenge. And these are the 3 that got votes. That was our focus now, okay? And our best solution wasn't what you thought, like a perfectly built thing. It was just a combination of technologies that proved the validity of the direction the team was going in, like location, application, interaction, the reporting system, right? Because that was what they felt was the innovation. Okay. All right. So before I open it up to questions, I'm going to encourage you, if you haven't already, to actually, I'm going to put 2 links up. Okay. One is a link to the No Box Toolbox Slack channel. Have you ever heard of Slack, guys? Okay. Okay. Slack is kind of like, you've heard of WhatsApp, correct? WhatsApp? Yeah. Okay. So WhatsApp is like Facebook. It's very social and, friends with friends. Slack is like LinkedIn. It's a professional way that people communicate. It's a little more secure, and it's really hard to send a personal picture of yourself to someone without realizing you screwed up, right? It's really kind of got that built in. I'm able to help and assist over 375 students within this network. And that network is that right there, that link. All right, so for those people that are joining us remotely and you can't connect that, it's a bit.ly link, Conrad Challenge -NB as in boy, T as in toy. Okay, and then from there you'll be able to register in, and I'm the one that's managing it with some of the members in the team. Okay, super, super cool tool. Okay, the next thing, okay, was the promised, this link, right? I wanted to make sure you had that. And again, you might not be able to know if it works for you or not because you have to register. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Okay, so just to recap real quick. Okay, we got a lot of things, like I said before, and we're actually exactly where we need to be, 30 minutes in, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to share any concerns, right? And what I can do to close this session is give you some most commonly asked questions that might apply to you, right? And it's amazing because students usually ask the right questions. It's super cool. Like, here's one question. Do we need to make a prototype? What's the answer? That's a tough one, right? Because it says prototype. So here's the thing. What is a prototype? What do you think a prototype is not necessarily what we're asking for. A prototype is not a fully functional unit that represents what you're doing. How is it that we've had students win competitions by mining Mars elements and bringing it back to Earth? Do you think they actually made a fully functional working prototype? Probably not, right? They did simulations, they did visualizations, they explained how it would work. How does it help to do a mock-up visual representation, a Autodesk Inventor? Absolutely. Anytime you can do something physical, it assists and helps people understand and proves that it can work. So the word I like to say is, can you prove that it would work? Not necessarily do you need to do a prototype. Does that make sense? Okay, it's kind of cool, right? It takes the pressure off, right? Like, how do we build it? We're all over the place, right? That's a big concern. Okay. Another question that people ask is, well, how do we know if it's something new or not? Right? It's a tough one. Like, can we use that part and call it our invention? Right? That's a tough one, right? And guess what? The answer is absolutely, right? So our water system that has 3 patents on it, okay, is nothing more than 5 different parts from different systems that are used in a different way. Can I drop the mic, please? Boom. We didn't invent anything. We innovated different technologies and used it in a different way. That's called an innovation. That's why the design brief is so important, guys. Okay, so does this make sense? Okay, so again, the 2 takeaways here are you can work together even when you're not together. Okay, and secondly, and this is where I'm going to close. This is an example of a sketch here and all that stuff, but what I want to share with you is this. I don't think you can see it yet, so let me go ahead and unshare the screen and click it back. And this is where we're going to end, and then I'm going to open it up to some questions, okay? And it'll be kind of cool. So can you see page 11 from the Conrad Challenge Handbook? Can you see that? Thank you. You're just on. Thank you very much, okay? So these are the 4 questions along with the short pitch, visual video that you need to do. And what's really cool about 1 and 2, they're kind of intertwined. And please read. So if you've done this in the past, it has changed and it's been modified, but I think you're going to welcome these changes because it enables you to submit something and then resubmit it. It enables you to have more time to focus on the things that you really need to focus on. But here's the bottom line. You ready? If you look at question 2, the orange and the red, what challenge is the product service designed to solve? That's the problem we were talking about. How different is this product and service? That's the prior solutions, right? And let's look at let's look at 1 and 3 now. What is your innovation product meant to serve? That's your best solution. Now you ready for the kicker? What are the key features? Do you guys understand why I designed that this way now? Do you get it? Okay, so these are just tools, you know, they're meant to be visual. They're meant to get you guys to kind of see what people are doing. You can work at any time zone because it works asynchronously, right? So these are some of the tools that you can use to move from X to the next point, okay? So I open it up for any questions. Again, I want to thank you for your time. So is there any questions about anything that I said? Yes, shoot.
So for Miro, when I went there, it's saying you don't have access to this whiteboard. So how do I do that?
Right. Okay.
Like you
Thank you, because I did forget that. Again, you're just right on target. So here, I'm going to write it down so I'm not saying it too late. Okay. First thing you're going to do is you're going to go to Miro and register. It's a free registration. So you register for a Miro account. Once you do that, it's going to ask you 2 questions. How big is your team? This, unless you want to pay something, you're going to say 1. You're a team of 1, okay? There's a reason for that. And then you're gonna say you're a student, right? Then you're gonna, I think there's another question that should be self-explanatory, and then you register. Once you register, then you click on the link. And what it will do is it will see that it's you and so on and so forth, okay? That's how you get direct access to that link. If that's still having problems, what I will do is I'm going to give you my, and this is for everybody. I'm going to give you my, let me see, actually log into Slack. That's the best way to get that communication. So I can kind of share that with you. Okay. But again, my email is also, and I don't like throwing emails out because people tend to forget where they're at. So I'd rather show you where to get the information. So I'm going to share my screen again real quick. Okay. Go to the website is awesome. So the 2 really, really important resources that if you want to make sure they're in compliance is the handbook that they've done a really good job of breaking down. And it's amazing how many student teams ask questions and waste time because they don't read the handbook well enough. You know, it's like a broken record, right? So please do that. Under resources, you see this right here, No Box Toolbox. That's me. That's our team. And look at this. Remember what I promised you at the end? Getting started, understanding the problem, remix. So here's the only thing you got to remember. This is the same exact process. The difference is you have an additional tool, Miro, where you can do those steps, right? So it is a learning curve. I'm not going to lie. It's not a plug and play like Google Slides. You do need to kind of look at some videos, but how cool is this that you can use this tool even way beyond Conrad Challenge? So I encourage you to investigate and do so. And then you have some templates that you can use, and there's round 2 information and information about the summit. Okay, so you got a lot of cool stuff here. Okay, and then this is where you get the information about the Slack channel as well. Okay. I'm going to pause there, but this is my email right there. See it? Claude@conrad.org. That's what you click, and you're always welcome. But again, I really like interacting with Slack because I get that, and I can do that much quicker usually, whereas emails I'll check maybe once at the end of the day or the next day. So it might be something you need answered sooner. Did that make sense? Okay. Any last questions before we depart? Again, it's been a pleasure sharing with you guys. Thank you for your time. And you want to talk a little bit about where you're at in the project? Like, do you feel comfortable? Are you almost done with round 1? Like, where are you?
Around final.
I'm sorry?
Around around finalizing the idea as yet.
Cool. Awesome. Awesome. How about you? I'm sorry. You were saying?
I'm in round 2. I've competed in round 1, and now I'm in for the business.
Awesome. But I hope you understand that a lot of the stuff in round 2 is applicable to this, right? Like understanding, like it's going to go deeper, right? It doesn't like, oh, this is a new whole thing. Round 2 is an extension of that, right? You want to go even
Absolutely.
deeper. So I would encourage you to even use this tool for round 2 when you're trying to figure out who's our, like, this is what you can do. Who's our end user?
Sorry?
Like, who is your end user? Like, you might think you know, but maybe your end user is more than one person. Maybe it's a company. Who's going to sell it? Is it the same person that's using it? Run a sprint, right? Run a Miro board. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to argue and come up with one. This is what people love to do. You know, I love when students, they stand by their like, you know what, I really think this is going to work. And then the other student says, I think this is going to work. Okay, let's see. You go ahead and do your process, you do your process, and let's see what happens, you know? And that's a fun thing because the team is better for it. Because you will have a judge that will challenge you. And they will say, why didn't you consider that? Oh, because it wouldn't work. It's not good enough, right? Actually, we had a team member that decided they wanted to do that. And here's what happened. We went through the steps and we realized that the customer, it was out of the price range for that customer. So what we realized was they didn't need those 2 additional features. This is what they asked for. Now they can't go after you because you proved to the group that this is what they wanted, not what you think they wanted. And you do it in a very nice way, in a professional way, right? And that's what's really cool. We're empowering you to really make change. And adults want to make sure you're prepared. I think I'm done for today. If there's a question, again, you have Slack, you have the email. And please let me know how you guys are doing. Okay. Anything else?
Okay. How many total stages are there in the Conrad Challenge?
Okay. So you have round 1, which is kind of going into round 2. And then from after round 2, you know, shortly in, I think it's January and then February, you find out exactly if you're moving to the summit. So that's the 3rd. And then when that is a big honor because you only have a certain amount of teams that make it. I want you to understand this. Some of the best projects we've ever done did not make it. I've worked with them and they've actually worked with companies and the companies bought their stuff, but they didn't make the Conrad Summit, right? Understand, right? So I love the fact that you're focused on the rounds at the end, but it's bigger. You know, we're a train that you could take and I want to see you there, but that train might be full and it doesn't mean your idea is not going to be able to continue. So so here's what I used to tell students.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. What I used to tell students is this: we were very fortunate. We actually moved to the finals. I think it was like 5 out of 7 years. And then Nancy says, what can you provide to others that do not have the resources you have in your school and some of the teachers that are just unbelievable and so committed? How can we share with your community? And that was 4 years ago. And that's why I'm here in front of you now, right? So what I tell them is the process at the end, you're going to present. It might be in front of these judges in the summit, but you should present regardless in April or May or wherever that time period is in your school. Does that make sense? Don't let external factors affect your ability to go as far as you want with this project. Okay. So does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay? I feel so passionate about that. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, and guys, this is Kristen from the Conrad Foundation. I do also just want to, Claude makes a very valid point that while we do only select the top 5 teams in each category, you guys would be shocked to see how close the scores are, sometimes within a quarter of a point. And so to Claude's, note, please don't stop if you don't happen to make it to the finals, because you could have just been literally a quarter of a point away. And we've had lots of teams that have continued on. We're happy to connect you with people, so don't hesitate to send an email to the foundation, to Claude. There's people out there that still want to help and be involved and see your innovation continue on. So we're here to help even after round 2, round 3. The alumni group, that's another great resource for you guys to reach out to and connect with them, because a lot of them are within their careers now. So they have connections and they've been innovators and they have products that are out there. So use the foundation as a resource. That's what we're here for. That's why we have all these great judges and subject matter experts and people like Claude who just feel so passionate about helping you guys that this is what they want to do. So.
Oh, I'm going to echo, I'm going to piggyback on her. The alumni group is spectacular. The amount of work that this group does to really engage students and empower you guys, I've never seen anything like this. And I've been around as a teacher and a coach in STEM projects, everything from robotics on, and I've never seen such a dedicated group to provide resources and like what to expect in the next level and how to start your company. It's super cool. I apologize for the speaker here. Any last questions before we call it a day? Well, thank you so much. Enjoy your dinner or enjoy the rest of your day. Good luck, and I'm here if you need me.